Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Art of Affiliate Management. And a lot of affiliate managers are sitting at home and working from home office. And for many people, especially the ones that live like the digital nomad style, this is really like a blessing. Or for the ones that are like banking and have a super nice house. But not everybody is happy with the setup, or even the people that are in the beginning happy are suffering from it in the end. So let's find out together how this is really affecting us and what we can do to handle the challenges of home office. And with me is Madi Rahim Rasol. I pronounced it correctly?
Rahim Rasool.
Rasul. Oh, wow, that sounds even cooler. How home office affects us and to assure the well-being. Very smart guest today once again. Only smart ones here. I only invite people that are smarter than me. She's a doctor in philosophy. Actually, I think since last year. And she's also quite a big part of the online marketing industry with involvements in the affiliate world and several podcasts. So who would be a better fit than her to talk about that? And before we kick it off, also a big thank you to the presenter of this podcast today. Yeah, we put our own brand today. We put AFJobs, the platform and job board of the industry where you find thousands of candidates that are already there just waiting to apply for your role, no matter if it's home office or in an office. So, Madi, thank you for taking time. And yeah, please introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie, as Stefan said. So I've just completed my PhD in autism research. I've been working in mental health for the past 6 to 7 years, predominantly in healthcare quality role. Alongside that, obviously, he said I've been helping out sort of with affiliate world conferences. I've been working in the industry here and there. But my main passion is mental health, and I'm a huge advocate for autism as well and supporting autistic individuals. And I think there's a huge gap here in that, everybody's working from home and we need to make sure we're looking after ourselves and our mental well-being. So I'm looking forward to this conversation today, Stefan.
How was the Corona times for you when you had to start to be in the house, and most probably at this time you were still studying and they cut you from visiting university? How this was for you?
Yeah, so I started my PhD a day after the UK went into national lockdown.
A day after
But I
you
was
went it, because you said I have
literally,
nothing to do, we will be longer here, so I study, or how was it?
yeah, it was tough, but I was still working at the time. So I didn't hit sort of home working myself until about a year and a half in. Um, I think so. I started when we hit the pandemic. Studying wise, yes, I was at home, but working wise, I was still going out to the office, and it was really strange because the roads were really empty, and not having that sort of, I guess from the university side, not being able to go on campus and things like that and study and meet my supervisors face to face and do that work online. That was tough. Um, but yeah, I think the thing I struggled with the most was sort of catching up when I sort of started to work from home and have a home office. Everybody was already settled, and they'd been doing it for a few months already.
Oh, how was the studying with kicking it off remote? I mean, you were missing practically the entire student vibe and the entire student life.
Yeah, it was tough. Although we had a lot of, things went online, so we had a lot of team sessions online. We used various platforms to communicate. We had WhatsApp groups, things like that. But you're right, there wasn't that face-to-face communication that you have in general sort of student life. There wasn't that, connection to meet new people, other people on similar courses. When you needed the support, there wasn't that sort of the face-to-face space to go to. So I think that having that lack of connection, especially at PhD level when you need that support, and sometimes just sitting down and having a whiteboard and hashing out ideas and brainstorming with fellow colleagues or supervisors is the best way to do it. So having to do that online and using various tools, it was sometimes hard to navigate. But yeah, it was an interesting time for me.
It's also interesting how we are adapting to this, because I remember when it started for the first 2 weeks, everybody was happy not to go to the office anymore. And then after 2 weeks, you were happy just to go to the supermarket. It was the only thing that was permitted here in Romania. You had to bring like a document you had to fill why you are out of the house. And you're right, I have to buy grocery. And then it was fine. And you were literally happy for these 2 times per week that you were going to the supermarket. And now people still tend to prefer to work from home, but we will speak about that as well. Okay, so the first question that I really have about this, do you think that working from home or remote is in general a good thing for the people? We speak today about well-being, so the first question is really for the people.
I think it depends on sort of what you prefer. I think working from home gives you that flexibility in terms of the environment, in terms of how you structure your day. But also on the opposing side, it's sort of, if you're used to that engagement with your team and working together with people, and when you've got like a quick question or something, you need to just turn around and ask somebody, that's hard. Because it's like, is that person doing a similar structure to me? Are they working similar hours? Again, it goes back to that flexibility. It gives you that flexibility when you're working at home to sort of in a way, pick and choose your hours if you can and your company allows it. I think the other thing is it's the commute as well, the flexibility in that. A lot of people travel long distances to get to their offices, or again, opposingly, some people like myself, I use the commute to work when I was working in an office to sort of switch on to get myself ready for work. And then sort of when I'm driving back home, I use that time to sort of switch off and sort of leave work at work. So I think there's pros and cons to it. And it's just about sort of how you manage that space and your structure and what you do.
This is coming then later on even as a more detailed question, because this I think is also one of the biggest challenges, that this the separation of work is gone. I mean, the majority of affiliate managers for who this online marketers for who this channel is targeted to, they were anyway working also from home, because you cannot say like, okay, it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'm not managing the affiliates anymore, this is not working. But it's still a different thing if you have like in the corner like this gigantic setup with your laptop and your standing desk and your ergonomic chair and God knows what, and it's looking at you permanently. Or if you are just having an office where you're working from, and at home, okay, if something urgent has happened, you are answering quickly on the phone. It's something bigger. Then you put the laptop quickly in the kitchen. You tell your partner to watch the kids or something like this, and you take care. So this, I think, is even a bigger effect maybe than the lack of social contact.
Yeah, and I think, in the affiliate industry, people have been doing this for years. They've been working from home and having their own home office setups and things like that. So COVID was sort of maybe perhaps an eye-opener for the affiliate industry, in that when people started to slowly back, I'm not sure how it was in other countries, but when people slowly started to go back in the UK, the mental health and the mental well-being aspect came up, and people thought, okay, people have been alone and isolated and working from home for these 2 years. How has that impacted their mental well-being and their mental health? So I think it's important for the affiliate industry to also consider that, these people did it for 2 years in the corporate world, the rest of the other industries, but the affiliate industry has been doing it for so long. We need to consider that impact and, see how you can manage things and change things to ensure that your well-being is intact too.
I mean, it's also a bit of a difference if you are like an affiliate and your reward mock is from a pool in Bali, or if you are an affiliate manager and instead of going to a fancy office, you are sitting in your, because you're maybe a junior, in your one-room apartment. So that's of course also like a very big effect. These people were most probably very happy to go and work in an office. From these 2 years where you say that there was the shutdown in UK, and I mean, the UK is the same people like everywhere else, with of course some differences, but in general, how was the effect of the mental health of the people living in UK, or where the studies were made with this shutdown and home office?
I think it was different in some sort of cases. I think people found it helpful because, you know, they were working in their own environment. They were able to sort of adapt how they were working and what they needed in terms of the environment, like, you know, lighting, sound, where they were sitting and working, where they were most comfortable. You probably had you know, people on different ends of the scale. So people just getting rolling out of bed and starting work, or the people you know, they needed that structure, so they got up and got ready. But I think on the opposing, there was also that sort of well-being thing in two ways. In one way, sort of people were now working at home, so, you know, obviously the bills and things were increasing, so the stress levels of that, having to pay more bills and things, and more get sort of the equipment, things like that. But also that isolation, I think affected a lot of people, and working in silos and not having that human connection. I think that affected a lot of people, in that they, like, the mental well-being and how they worked.
And this is now how it affected the people, and this is the main focus of this podcast. But in the end of the day, these people have to make money, and often they have to make money if they are not an affiliate, if they are an affiliate manager for a company. The company has to pay the salaries for everybody, and how the home office or remote work is affecting, this is now maybe not even only about the lockdown that we had like a few years ago, but in general, how it's affecting the productivity to work remote.
I guess there's a lot more distractions at home. You know, if you've got young children that aren't at school yet, or even if you've got children at school and, you know, they're coming back before your day's even ended, I think there's a lot of distractions in that. And, you know, there's a leaky tap, and maybe I'll just fix this during the day, and then you get sidetracked. You've got, you know, the home comforts. I think there's a lot of distractions in the home that could affect productivity. But again, opposingly, if you've got the right routine, the right setup, I think your productivity could be higher because you're more comfortable in where you're working. I heard from a lot of people, you know, they got a lot more work done at home, than they did in the office, because there were lots of distractions. For example, when you're walking down the corridor in the office, you'll stop and have a chat with somebody, albeit, you know, about work, about a project that you're doing, but that cuts out of your day working. Whereas when you're at home, you're managing your time yourself, and you're focused on that work and you're getting it done. So I think a lot of people, it's that balance, isn't it? Balancing out those distractions, but also ensuring that you're comfortable with the environment to work in it. And if it is working out for you, I think the home office could even increase productivity. I'm sure there's lots of research out about sort of how it did affect productivity, but it's that looking at those distractions and how they affect your productivity, and, you know, structuring yourself.
I have a colleague here in Romania, and Yash, working also at Masters in Cash. Vlad, if you see this, bro, hello. So I hope you see that. So this is now only for you. So with this guy, we have like two different reasons why we work together here in my place. For him is the problem, or not the problem, the situation that he has two kids. One is about to turn 5, the other one is 1.5. So the 1.5-year-old is permanently at home with the wife, and the other one comes home at around noon. He can forget to work concentrated, and he has to make the invoices of the company. He has to set up all the tracking of the company and so on. So it's really stuff where you have to be more focused. Me chatting with the affiliates, yo, bro, what's up? Yo, this offer, we are killing it, my man. This is easy. This I can do on the phone with the kids screaming or something like this. But this guy has to sit and he has to put numbers. And if he puts it wrong, the affiliate gets the wrong amount of money. And then there is big drama. And yeah, it's legit to make a drama for that. So he comes over to work concentrated from my place. That's his reason to come over. Me, on the other hand, my kid is in kindergarten until 5:30. So during the peak hours, I'm like busy, and we are anyway having like shared custody. But for me, it's more the social aspect. I'm happy that somebody comes over, because otherwise I don't see sometimes somebody for 2 days or so. So this is there are different motivations why we have this kind of mini office and not like an individual home office from each of us. So if you have the situation like him or anybody else that has at home a lot of noise and a lot of things happening, how you keep yourself away from these distractions. And first I want to ask you about the distractions that are affecting you maybe from other people, and then we speak also about the distractions that you maybe have for yourself. So what you do best to be productive if you have like people around you. It's maybe not even such a mental health thing, but if you cannot work, that will drive you also crazy with the time.
Yeah, I guess it's about, setting those boundaries, with people, but also with your environment, having a clear, as you said, your friend comes over and he works with you. It's having that space to work and knowing you've got that space to work and setting the boundaries. And sometimes a routine can help as well, knowing when you're going to do what. I think maybe that's a bit harder in the affiliate industry, in that you're always constantly switched on. And there's always something, so you can't sort of have a routine in terms of I'm going to do this at this time and this at this time. But even having a routine in terms of, I'm going to wake up at this time and start work at this time, and I'm going to, these are the hours, or, these are the sort of tasks that I'm going to focus on, and putting in space for those other things that just pop up. I think boundaries and sort of routine are two of the key things that we need to focus on in order to ensure that we are sort of, able to overcome those distractions. But it's also all about, thinking about those distractions. Also, how can I deal with those in terms of minimizing them? What else in my environment do I need to keep away from myself?
Yeah, I think that's the good point of making this together with you, because you really understand how the affiliate world functions. Not the affiliate world, but the affiliate microcosmos. So yeah, that's the good thing about that. So this is more about the effect that you are having like from maybe outside. But for example, for me, what was the biggest challenge, and maybe you have some advices for this as well, I will share after this how I overcame it myself, was this permanent temptation to do stuff that is not work related. For example, watching YouTube videos. I was never like a TikTok or short guy, but a YouTube algorithm is so advanced. It is permanently suggesting me stuff that is interesting. And it's suggesting me so weird things like how to defend a castle in medieval time or so. So the algorithm knows before I know that it's interesting for me. I said, wow, a castle, how to defend it. This will never be useful in my life again. I mean, it's not even a modern castle. It's like something from a few hundred years ago. How to avoid this distraction, because this is like something that is just numbing you down. It's just like a quick dopamine rush or something like this to watch all these videos. How to avoid even to get into this situation.
I guess it's about, what you've got available to you. Like you, well, mine was TikTok at the start of the sort of the lockdown. When I did start to work from home, I downloaded the TikTok app. And after about 10 minutes on it, I thought, no, I can't have this app, because I will sit and I'll pick my phone up and I'll just sit scrolling. There's just so much content here and, interesting little shorts. So I deleted the app. So I guess it's about, I think the first thing is self-control, and realizing that wherever you've got this content, wherever you've got these distractions, keeping them away, and managing your control over that, and yourself to distance yourself from that. So if that's, for you, if it's YouTube and looking through things, it's keeping it closed and not accessing YouTube and keeping it away. But also sort of, finding tasks that you can focus on that will keep you distracted, and having that mindset of giving yourself breaks to, I'm gonna, when I get to the break, I'm gonna look at these things.
So you deleted TikTok because you had the feeling, if I leave it, I will continue watching it and it will keep me too busy.
Yeah, I completely got rid of the app.
And you still have it deleted from the phone?
Yeah, I've never brought it back.
Wow. Okay. You don't miss too much. I'm not a TikTok guy. For me, it's nothing there, but for me, is YouTube the big danger. And I had to do it a little bit like you. Of course, I have the problem more on the desktop. And what I used to do was I was eating and I was watching YouTube. So that's anyway not a good thing to sit on your desk where you are working and you have still your screen not even taking this 10-15 minutes off from it, watching YouTube. But if I'm not opening it, if I'm just eating on my second table here that is full with the stuff now, the algorithm cannot target me.
Yeah.
There is no castle that needs to be defended online waiting for me when I'm not accessing it. And that's something that I didn't have the discipline to say like, okay, I watch now only for 10 minutes something to get my head clean. No, then I had to watch it fully. Even if it's educational stuff is taking me away from the things that I need. So then the next question that I have is how to split between the private life and work when you have the same place. As mentioned before, for me, it's like the thing that I have right next to my TV. So practically something that you do as a distraction from your home. I have here this big setup, standing desk, big screen, laptop, and so on. So how you make the split between private and work?
I guess it goes back to setting those boundaries, really. You know, how do you define your work life and how do you define your private life? What is there in your sort of work life that shouldn't really cross over? And as you said, you know, you've got your TV right behind you as well. You know, maybe keeping your TV and that for sort of your leisure and your private life and the things that you enjoy to watch, and then keeping your sort of your desk space as where you go and sit to work. So not just sort of keeping those boundaries in terms of what activities are sort of home life and what activities are work life, but also the space. So not sitting at, you know, your work desk when you're not working, not sitting at, you know, your sofa where you'd sit and watch your TV when you are when you're working. So it's that split and those boundaries and being able to sort of separate the two, both mentally, but also physically.
Do you think that with this risk of have permanently the work in your life and also a less social interaction with people, that home office increases the risk of burnout or even depression?
Yes and no. So I think we are blurring the lines between sort of home office and our work life. Definitely, yeah, because you're sort of, you know, you're constantly on the go, and if you're picking things up all the time and there's not that rest time, you're eventually going to burn out. But also knowing that people sometimes, again, it goes back to the whole environment thing. If people work better, and you know, I said it earlier that I've done a lot of research in autism as well, and autistic individuals, they need specific sort of environments sometimes to be able to thrive and do things and just function sometimes. So if that environment in your home office is supporting you to sort of work better, whether that be the light, the noise, and, you know, not having noisy colleagues next to you in an office, then that burnout is less likely to happen because you're in a environment that you're comfortable with. But if you're blurring the lines, there's no set routines, and, you know, you're constantly on the go, I think definitely it can lead to burnout. And then you need to really look at things and how you can structure things better to avoid that burnout. So I guess it's a bit of both, really.
Is it also a burnout risk that during this home office people started to do more and more projects? So they are saying like, okay, I have here this job, but I anyway cannot go out of the house. So I make an additional small business as like a graphic designer, or I make an e-com store, or so to speak about our industries. Is this another risk that came, that we are maybe putting too many projects in our life?
Definitely, yeah. I think, you know, with working from home and having home offices, people have realized, oh, I've got, you know, I'm working, why not add more? I've got the time and I'm here, I work here anyway, why not add more? And I think that does add to the burnout in it's overload as well. You're overloading yourself with projects and things to do, which is eventually going to lead to burnout because you're not turning off. You're not, not just physically turning off, stopping doing things, but mentally as well. Your mind is always worrying. And I think that's something that often occurs in the affiliate industry, especially. And especially with sort of affiliate managers in that their minds are always worrying. So it's important to switch off and manage your projects and understand your capacity. Some people might thrive on that, having lots of projects and constantly be on the go, but not quite understand the impact until they hit rock bottom. So I think it's important to be able to sort of know your own capacity, know what you can do, but also understand what, when I hit rock bottom, why is that? And then being able to manage those projects.
How you realize that you are about to hit rock bottom? What are like warning signs that are coming up?
I think in terms of burnout, when you are about to hit rock bottom, I think that's the constant tiredness, the overlap of over sort of projects in that the lines are being blurred across projects, and you feeling very fatigued. Again, I'm not a medical professional, things like that, or a trained psychologist, but I think burnout is something that it's all about your sort of your well-being as well and how you feel, and that capacity in that you're reaching a peak tiredness and you're always tired, or you're always there's a lot of stress in your life and things are being blurred across projects, or like there's always that stress and always that something that needs doing, and you can't give yourself rest time.
Do you think that, for example, when you have many projects and one of them is failing, that these failing projects is increasing the risk of burnout? Because I want to tell you why I'm asking this. I had first I had like to manage an online marketing company, and I had my restaurants. And my restaurants were taking so much time away from me. And if I would have put this time into the online marketing stuff, I would be most probably super fine. But having with the restaurant something that is failing was making me super crazy burnout for like half a year, maybe longer, until I really said like I close all the businesses and so on. So that really helped me. If the projects would go nice, for example, now I work even more, but everything that I have is in some way going in a good direction. And now I don't feel any mental challenges or burnout risk. So is this also connected failure that is maybe happening, and that even the failure on a small project that you loaded on yourself is increasing the risk of burnout?
I think the risk of failure and that sort of feeling of being like a project failing things, I don't think that necessarily falls under sort of burnout. I think it's maybe the constant need to uplift this project, and if it's failing, you just chasing it and chasing it and chasing it, that would lead to sort of the burnout, because you're knowing that it's failing and you're still chasing it. That could eventually lead to burnout. But I think the actual sort of impression of something failing, I think that's more sort of your well-being in the way that you sort of perceive things, rather than burnout, if that makes sense.
Mm. So it's
So I guess
practically
it's
once
more
again
about,
like a mindset thing, how it's affecting you to have this burnout and to chase something that is never turning out into something good.
yeah, and it's about evaluating, where am I going with this? Am I going to eventually sort of crash? And is it going to affect my sort of mental health, my mental well-being, in that I'm just going to crash on it and it's not going to go anywhere? Or can I actually make an impact here? Is this going somewhere? So it's that evaluation, not sort of chasing it completely, but it's taking a pause as well and evaluating things and looking at what you're doing and the impact of that.
I don't want to even imagine how it is if you go full-time into some projects and they are failing. And I mean, I see so many affiliate programs, networks, advertiser, also people that start to work as an affiliate themselves or as a service provider. and it's they go to one conference and maybe they put all the money they have into that, or they go for 1 year to everything and they put a lot of effort in it, and then these projects disappear. So that must be like even crazier, because for them it's not like a side hustle that they try. It's practically they put their entire life into that. For me, even when I lost all my life savings with my restaurants, I still had like something that was aside that was working, let's say. So I don't even want to know how it's for these people when everything crashes down.
Yeah.
So the next question that I have is strategies that help people to stay mentally well when they lack the interaction with people. This is my biggest challenge working from here, and that's why I'm so happy that Vlad is coming over once in a while.
Yeah, I think I was going to say exactly what you suggested, seeking out those social interactions, even if it's not with sort of colleagues, it's with friends, and, stepping out of your work zone and doing things that you enjoy with your friends, family, whichever suits you. But then it's also that balance of if you want to retain, if you've come from a team that you work very sort of closely and you had that team engagement, it's sort of retaining that in a way as well. So seeking out those social interactions, whether that's with work or friends or colleagues, I think it's more important, especially to sort of do something fun with your friends and family away from work. I think that's a very important strategy. But also in order to retain that team building, I guess, and that teamwork, it's doing things with your team as well, even if it's just sort of stepping away from what you're doing in your daily tasks and having a catch up with your team and seeing how things are going for them and listening to them and then them sort of listening to you. I guess it's that, seeking out those social interactions yourself.
What about, for example, joining a co-working space or working from coffee shops? What is your idea about this? Is it maybe putting you again into an even bigger distraction than a normal office, or is it a good thing, or you maybe make it one time per week? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I quite like co-working spaces. I think a lot of them are structured to, a lot of the ones I've seen are structured to, have that open space, but you've still got some of the smaller offices that you can go and do some private work in. I think they work really well because you've got that social interaction, that you've got people around that you can speak to. And often you meet new people and, get fresh ideas and things at these co-working spaces. So I really like them. I think co-working spaces are a great idea. But if you really need to do some focused work, again, it goes back to the environment in that is your home office, your environment where you thrive the most. I think also another strategy is that, being healthy physically as well. So eating healthy, making sure you're getting regular exercise and, you're getting out to the fresh air as well.
That's another good point. I have the feeling that a lot of more people have back problems now. I had also 2 herniated discs since the home office time, because before we were going out, we were running around in the office. At lunchtime, they say like, "Hey, there is this new kebab store opening, but it's like 10 minutes walk." Oh, no problem. We go there 10 minutes. I mean, okay, I have a treadmill now for my back problems and I do quite a lot of sport. But in general, I have the feeling that home office is affecting our backs even more than our mind now after 5 years looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important that, you take care of your physical health as well and you get out and you exercise. Again, even if you're doing things at home, you've got your treadmill at home there, you get a mat out and do some stretching, things like that. I'm not an expert in physical health, but the little things, I know how important they are to avoid sort of issues with your back, with your shoulders. A lot of people, maybe they don't have sort of ergonomic chairs, they're just working at the tables, things like that. So it's really important to take care of that as well. So there's lots of correlations between your physical and your mental health.
I had to have my first case of herniated disc. Second one was then way easier to buy like an ergonomic equipment. For me, it was like a waste of money to buy a chair that is costing close to 1,000 euros. I can use this for some better stuff. Now I know that it's not a good idea to say like, hey, I cut money on the costs. I had my Marcus chair from IKEA. The most sold office chair in the world, Marcus from IKEA. And I had like this normal desk that was doing the job. And I got so ill from that. And now, since I have this ergonomic chair, I bought it, I think, 1 month before I had my second herniated discs and a standing desk that can go up and down. This is like a total game changer. And this is something I recommend as well, because if you are ill or if you have back problems and you can not work proper, that brings you even more down into the burnout because you cannot fulfill your tasks. And if you are like in online marketing, if you cannot work for 1 month, this is like if you are in a traditional brick and mortar industry and you cannot work for a year. So you cannot afford to lose this month.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we are actually coming here to an end. So how we finalize this always, we finalize it always with the so-called golden nugget. And this is the best advice that you can share to the listeners out there. I assume that you have like a good advice for staying mentally sane and mental healthy. But if you have a total different advice and you say like, hey, you have to make ads now on TikTok because it's so addictive and it's like an online marketing advice, feel free to share this. Or if you say like visit Abu Dhabi because it's cool, that's also a good advice. So please share your golden nugget with us, whatever it is.
I think my golden nugget is sort of two-pronged a little bit. I think the first part is having that dedicated space and that environment that works for you in your home office, and ensuring, as you know, we've just said about the ergonomics and the right structure physically, so you can work, so you're not sort of bumping into health issues, physical health issues later on. But the second part is routine. I always say in everything I do, you know, routine is so important, and having that structure, even if it's not, you know, an hour by hour structure or routine, it's having that basic structure. And I think in the affiliate industry, with affiliate managers, with affiliates themselves, it's so hard to structure your day to say, I'm going to do this task here and this task there. But having a routine, a personal routine, like, you know, I'm going to get up at this time, I'm going to do this at this time, I'm going to put these blank spots in for things that pop up here and there. I think that's just so important. So the environment and the routine are probably my two golden nuggets.
One question here, how you make this routine? You have like a schedule for it, or you have it just in your mind, or you have like really like a whiteboard on the wall? I love whiteboards, by the way. So
Yeah, I guess it's what works for you. You know, I know people that whiteboards work best having like a task list, or, you know, just having a start and stop time in your mind of, you know, I'm going to start at this time, I'm going to stop at this time. So in between, you sort of, you know, you're a bit more flexible, but in your mind, having that start and stop time, or if like a journal of, you know, having a diary of things helps you. I think it's figuring out what works for you. So sometimes people need to do a bit of trial and error and see what works for them. So there's
how you
different
do it
route, you
yourself?
know. Myself, I think having sort of that mental start and stop time works for me. I'm not a very sort of visual person with whiteboards and things like that. I like to have that visual start and stop time, knowing when I'm going to start, knowing that I've got a good sort of waking up routine and getting ready. I can't sort of roll out of bed and just sit and do work. I need to get up and get ready to be productive. But then the rest of my day, I sort of, you know, have that flexibility, knowing that I'm going to start at this time, I'm going to finish at this time and turn off at that time. So that works best for me. But like with KJ, he has a whiteboard and he has to, you know, make a list of things on his whiteboard and tasks and things, and visually seeing those things work for him.
For me, I have like in some way a plan how to structure the day. So it's usually that I start at around 8:30, 9. It depends a little bit with my kid. And then I focus for the first part of the day of Masters in Cash, because there is practically like a fixed working schedule, at least for the team. And in my job, I coordinate mostly the stuff that is happening with the team. And I try to avoid the things that are like affecting AFPAL or AFJobs and so on. During these hours, of course, you reply quickly, but in the same way, you reply also to your affiliates or to your colleagues from Masters in Cash later on. And then I want to have during the evening the side projects or on the weekends. So yeah, that's the only thing that I do, but I don't really have like at the moment a limitation from the hours. I think yesterday I replied to the last guy at 1:30 at night. So yeah,
Yeah,
also
but I
not
guess that's,
healthy.
yeah, but I guess it comes part and parcel of the industry as well. You're constantly sort of switched off, and we need to find that balance of how do we have that off time, but also ensure that you're getting things done. But I guess that's a whole conversation in itself, how to switch
Yeah,
off.
that's true, and it's hard for everybody. And I realized that often for me the most relaxing thing is when I know that I don't have anything to do, so I can work even more. What is like a total crazy thing. But at the moment everything goes well, so I'm happy. I embrace this hustle. But if something would break away, like I had it with the restaurant, most probably I would be sooner than later really into some kind of dark place.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's it with this yeah, a little bit untypical podcast. But as we, or I would have say 90% of the people here work in some way remote or from home office. That is maybe even more important than any other podcast that we record. Because, for example, the last one we had was about localization, and that's more for the project managers. So that's even relevant to a small amount of this audience. Super important as well, but this year is really affecting everybody. Madi, you have some final words. Shall I link your contacts downstairs for what people can reach out to you? What are you
Sure,
offering as
yeah,
services?
you can. Yeah, sure. You can link my contents. I've also started some, if I may say, I've also started some coaching with affiliates as well to work towards improving their mental well-being and their mental fitness. Hoping to get some articles out about that too. LinkedIn is where I engage with people the most, and that's where people can reach out to me.
That also changed. LinkedIn was like totally useless for affiliate management and marketing until, let's say, 5 years ago, beside the big American brands or beside the big networks, not only in America. But now it's so professional that it's really like, or the industry is so professional. LinkedIn was always professional to that you cannot really avoid it. Okay, I put your LinkedIn there. So thank you very much for taking this time. And I wish you a
Thank you for
fantastic
having me.
weekend. And also thank you very much to ourselves, to Afjobs, for sponsoring this episode. Yeah, but makes sometimes more sense to do some name dropping instead of taking a sponsor. So thank you very much, and I hope this is helping everybody to improve their mental health, maybe just by 1%, but that's already mission accomplished for us.
Thank you.
Take care. Ciao, ciao.